Opening hook, a speech that shook the world. Picture this. A young leader from a small, landlocked nation in West Africa steps up to a podium, not to beg for aid or whisper polite diplomacy, but to issue a bold, unapologetic challenge to the world's most powerful nations. His voice, forged in the heat of the Sahel, carries the weight of centuries of struggle and the hope of a new future. This is a story of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the leader of Burkina Faso, whose electrifying speech shattered the silence of global indifference. From the heart of Africa, he dared to speak truth to power, calling out injustice in Gaza, warning against a catastrophic war with Iran, and demanding a new world order where every nation's sovereignty is respected. This isn't just a speech, it's a rallying cry for humanity. Buckle up, because this is a story that will leave you inspired, challenged, and ready to rethink the world. Flex bicep sparkles. A nation rising, a voice unafraid. Burkina Faso, a land of resilient people battling poverty, terrorism, and the scars of colonialism, is no stranger to struggle. Under Captain Ibrahim Traoré's leadership, the nation has begun an extraordinary transformation, reclaiming land from violence, turning fighters into farmers, and planting the seeds of food sovereignty. But on this day, Traoré chose to step beyond his nation's borders, weaving Burkina Faso's fight for dignity into a larger, global story. He began with a nod to his people's victories. Soldiers reclaiming villages from terrorists, farmers digging wells and sowing crops, and a nation building a future with its own hands. But then, he pivoted to a truth too loud to ignore. The cries of suffering from Gaza, the drums of war against Iran, and the hypocrisy of a global system that preaches human rights while enabling destruction. Traoré's speech wasn't just about Burkina Faso. It was a wake-up call for the world. Globe with Asia, Australia. Breaking the chains of silence. Traoré's words cut through the diplomatic fog like a machete. He called out the powerful nations, those who built their wealth on Africa's resources, for lecturing the global south to fix their own houses while ignoring the fires raging in their neighbors' fields. He rejected the mental prison that keeps small nations silent, comparing it to a slave being told to focus on his shackles while his brother is whipped in the same field. Drawing on the wisdom of his grandfather, a farmer who understood survival as a collective act, Traoré painted a vivid picture of a world interconnected by shared struggles. The fire in our neighbor's field is our fire too, he declared, linking the hunger in Gaza and the threat of war in Iran to the rising bread and fuel prices in Burkina Faso's markets. His message was clear. No nation, no matter how small, can stay silent when injustice burns. Fire. Gaza, a crime in slow motion. With unflinching clarity, Traoré addressed the crisis in Gaza, calling it a crime in slow motion that the world has watched with complicity. He spoke of doctors operating by phone light, fathers burying their families in plastic bags, and a population of millions, half of them children, starved and besieged. He condemned the targeting of journalists, poets, and doctors, and the deliberate destruction of hospitals, universities, and bakeries. We see a level of cruelty that should make every human question what it means to be civilized, he said. Traoré didn't shy away from the root cause, a decades-long occupation, the Nakba, and a colonial project that echoes Africa's own history of apartheid and dehumanization. While condemning all terrorism, including attacks on innocent civilians, he urged the world to see the Palestinian people as human beings with dreams, fears, and rights, not as threats to be erased. Dove-hash. The drums of war, a warning on Iran. Traoré's speech took aim at the looming threat of war with Iran, calling it an act of global madness that would ignite a fire far worse than the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He exposed a pattern. A powerful nation, backed by a global superpower, manufactures pretexts to attack a sovereign state that dares to chart its own course. Sanctions, assassinations, and economic strangulation push Iran into a corner, only for its resistance to be labeled aggression to justify war. The consequences, he warned, would ripple across the globe, hitting the poorest nations hardest. Skyrocketing food and fuel prices, more refugees, and fertile ground for extremism would destabilize places like Burkina Faso. The price would be paid by ordinary people, he said, not the politicians calling for war from air-conditioned studios. Warning sign hash. A moral challenge to Israel and the world. In a moment that sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles, Traoré spoke directly to Israel's leaders, challenging them to end the bombing of Gaza, lift the siege, and see Palestinians as human beings with the same rights to a home and a future. You cannot bomb a people's memory, he declared. You cannot defeat the spirit of a people who refuse to disappear. But his challenge wasn't just for Israel, it was for everyone. To African leaders, he invoked the spirit of Kwame Nkrumah, Thomas Sankara, and Patrice Lumumba, urging them to find their voice in unity. To the Arab world, he called for a shield of solidarity. To the citizens of Europe and North America, he asked them to question the bombs and policies funded in their name. And to the global order, he demanded a multipolar world where sovereignty is real, institutions like the UN are reformed, and fair trade replaces exploitative aid. Globe with meridians. A revolution of the mind and spirit. Traoré's vision is a revolution, not of guns, but of the mind and spirit. It's a rejection of the colonial mindset that has caused centuries of suffering. From the Sahel, alongside allies in Mali and Niger, Burkina Faso is fighting to be the master of its own destiny. This speech, delivered from Ouagadougou, the land of upright people, is a declaration that the time for silence is over. The time for justice is now. Closing, a call to awaken. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's speech is more than words. It's a spark that could ignite a global movement. From a small nation in West Africa, he's shown that moral courage can challenge empires. He's proven that a leader who speaks from the heart can shake the foundations of a broken system. This is a call to awaken your conscience, to stand for justice, and to build a world where every child's life is precious, whether in Gaza, Paris, or Ouagadougou. What will you do with this challenge? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that inspire change. Let's make this message echo across the globe. Globe showing Europe, Africa.